So before I do some throwing, I would make sure I wedge the clay. Wedging the clay is important because it prevents bubbles from forming in the walls of the clay as you do the pulling and throwing. And so I thought I would show you how I go about wedging the clay. For people with small hands as well, wedging can be quite a tedious task, and I'll show you my method. So let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I'm using a board by Xiem tools. Just turn it over so you can see the name. That is from Xiem. I quite like it. You can also use a plaster board if you can make a big plaster slab. I've chosen not to because sometimes with plaster it flicks off. So I'm pretty much quite happy with this board. So I'm using a porcelain called, that's the name of the porcelain, from Anito, and this is my first time trying it. It's a bit plastic, and so with throwing you have to be extra careful. I'm just looking for my wire, wire. Right. Okay, so I'm using a wedging technique called ram's head. I'm just going to turn this over so there's more room for the movement so the board doesn't move on the table. So I have some wet clay here from the other clay day of throwing. I'm just mixing it up. So if you do have chunks that are drier than the other chunks, you would want to do more wedging than usual. So this is called the ram's head because you're kind of just pushing with this part of your hand. And so for people with small hands like me, it's harder to do larger chunks of clay. And so what I tend to do is I would wedge smaller pieces and then put them together. If you have dry flakes like this, just push them aside. See these small chunks of dry clay, just remove them because they can kind of cause bubbles or problems when you do throwing. So you want to do the pushing through your hips. Ideally you want to do it standing instead of sitting because you have more strength that way. So with this piece it is a bit dry. I'm just gonna wet it a little bit. To help it along. So today I'm like thinking about drawing a bigger piece, and I'm just wedging small balls of clay. Okay, so what can you do to join this up into a large chunk of clay? You can do it using a slab. It's called cut wedging. So what I do is I just cut them in half like this. Cut them in half. When you open it up, you can see it's actually quite well wedged because there aren't any bubbles. When you cut them, it's a good way to check whether they're okay. So what I do is I just slap them together, and I tend to kind of try and mix them up alternatively. Then you slam it on the table. So the slamming itself pushes up the air pockets that may contain within, and it also compress all the pieces together. And then I just kind of go through the edges to try and create a rectangular block, and then cut it into half again, and then you just fold it over. As you can see, there are a couple of air pockets in here, so that is the air pockets is not such a good thing. Just do more slabs. Try and make it a rectangular block. And then do another one. You can see there's a slight hole here, so you want to get rid of those. So I think this is good to go now. You can just smooth out the edges like this, and there you have it. That will make a very small jar. Another piece that I would this one has not been wedged, I don't think, so I'm just gonna cut through it. So cut wedging is good if you have delicate hands, and well, it's not really do with delicate hands, it's more like if you strained your wrists and your hands too much from doing pottery or arts and crafts. The cut wedging method takes the strain off your hands. So I just do the small balls like this first to remove the air pockets from the small balls. Clay work can be quite laborious. So I've seen people who just do the drawing straight out of the bed. I think that could be okay too. It's just that I find doing wedging first kind of helps the clay to wake up, so to speak. It just feels less stiff if you wedge them first. This one is a bit dry, so I'm just gonna just do this and try and mix it up. A bit water just makes the wedging a bit easier. So how's everyone's Christmas? Generally I find festive season can be quite depressing sometimes because there's like expectations for to kind of like make it a perfect festive season, but I think over the years I've learned that it's better to just take it easy. On Christmas Day I was doing pottery, so this one is a bit dry as well. I'm just gonna tear it up a bit. For some reason my left wrist feels a bit sore. Can't remember for what. Okay, so now this is kind of more or less done. I'm gonna try and do the step wedging. Check that. So you want to see if they were well wedged. Cutting in half is good. So this is not good enough. There are still bubbles. We're gonna go at it again. The other advantage of doing step wedging is you can have like different layers of drier clay and wetter clay, and then as you cut and stack, you get kind of like a even consistency with the clay. Okay, so this is pretty good now. And just let this be the last step. Okay, so this is done, and if I wanted to make a big piece, I could just join these two together and throw it on the wheel. So that's it today for wedging. I hope that helps you.